men are murdered. Can the ballistics unit find the clues hidden in the guns? These men want to become the Army's deadliest shooters. But first, they must survive sniper school. A super gun to fire a satellite into space. Why did it cost this scientist his life? The secret life of guns. Guns are America's favorite way of killing people. They are machines that contain up to 40 moving parts. No two guns are exactly alike. Each gun leaves a unique imprint on the bullet it fires. So guns can leave a trail that police can follow to track down the killers. It's long past closing time at a Boston restaurant. The last customers seem like they're never going to leave. What's about to happen will shock this city. It will force police officers and forensic scientists to test their skills to the utmost. Half an hour later, police have cordoned off the scene of a triple homicide. The ballistics unit is beginning its work. Its job is to reconstruct the murders based on the firearms evidence.
We don't want to know motive, rhyme, or reason, who's involved actually. We want to go in there and just keep the science as pure as possible. We go in there and we do firearms forensics. That's it.
A guy comes through that door with a shotgun. Now this guy over here...
There was 4 people. It was...
4?
The witnesses provide little help.
You were back there, you didn't...
They tell conflicting stories about the number of killers.
Okay, Mark, from the west wall.
Detective Catherine Doherty maps out the location of the empty shells and spent bullets.
By examining the evidence that we have at the scene, we're creating the suspects, where they were located, how they entered the building, where they were standing, how they shot individuals. So we're creating the ghosts of the suspects by using the physical evidence.
Marker code 1.
Homicide officers place orange cones by pieces of evidence. Sergeant Vickers will determine how many times this man fired his gun. The clip is full, so he never fired it. Across the room, Detective Doherty finds a large bullet. It's the kind of ammunition fired by another victim's gun, a revolver. Vickers knows that he won't find empty shells from this gun on the floor because revolvers retain their empty shells. The third victim's gun has been fired only 2 times. Then Vickers finds ammunition from another type of weapon, a shotgun.
Definitely a shotgun involved.
Shotguns are deadly because they can fire many pellets in each shell. And the pellets spread out to leave large holes like these.
We have a bullet hole, which is approximately 44 hundredths of an inch in diameter.
On the sidewalk outside, an officer finds an empty shotgun shell. It will prove to be a vital clue. But there's still more they can learn inside. Doherty aims a laser beam at a hole made by the shotgun. She lines up the laser to match the angle at which the shotgun slug cut into the wall. The spray will make the beam more visible. By repeating this with every hole, they determined that the shooter fired from the doorway. The height of the holes tells them that the shooter was 6 feet tall. So far, they have found the 3 victims' guns, but not the shotgun used as a murder weapon. By the next morning, police have identified the 3 murdered men. All of them were small-time hoodlums with criminal records. The ballistics unit is now analyzing the evidence. A technician places the empty shotgun shell under a special microscope. It magnifies by 25 times the marks on the back of the shell. The round imprint in the center comes from the shotgun's firing pin. That's the pin that strikes the shell when you pull the trigger. Every firing pin leaves a unique imprint. This database contains images of shells fired from every shotgun found at the scene of a crime in Boston since 1993. The shell on the left is the one from outside the restaurant. The one on the right comes from a shotgun used in another crime. The computer selected it as the closest match to the restaurant shell. But the technician must make the final match by eye. To see better, he flips the image to its negative, and he can now spot a tiny difference. Only one shell has a small mark above the center imprint. It's not a match. Finding the missing shotgun is not going to be as easy as they hoped. Meanwhile, Sergeant Vickers weighs all the bullets from the crime scene. From the types of ammunition he sees, he suspects there was a second murder weapon in addition to the shotgun. To test his theory, Vickers collects the 3 guns he found at the murder scene. He's going to fire test shots from each gun into this cotton wadding, which will stop the bullets without damaging them. The first gun is the big revolver, fired by one of the victims. Vickers will compare the test bullets to those from the murder scene. The tests end up confirming what he suspected. Most of the shells and bullets at the restaurant don't come from any of the victims' guns. They had to come from a second murder weapon in addition to the shotgun. It has to be a handgun that ejected the empty shells as it fired. Since there were 2 murder weapons, police now believe there were 2 killers. Could any of the shells from the second murder weapon match shells they recovered from other crime scenes? Detective Doherty checks in another database. This time, it pays off. The firing pin imprint on a shell from the restaurant matches one from another shooting. Unfortunately, police have not found the gun or a suspect in that crime either. When the bullets from the bodies arrive, there's a new surprise. Evidence of a 3rd killer. In each body, there was a single bullet of a 3rd kind of ammunition. The size and markings tell Doherty that they could come from a .38 caliber revolver, a .38 Special. A few days later, they get a good lead. Some children stumble upon a half-submerged gun. It's a .38 Special. Doherty needs to make it fire test bullets, which she can compare to the .38 caliber bullets from the bodies. Bad news. The trigger and the hammer are broken, and someone has filed off the serial number. Sergeant Vickers will try to make the gun fire a test bullet using a rubber band. They place the test bullet on one side of the comparison microscope. One of the .38 caliber bullets from the bodies goes on the other. Now they can compare the two bullets side by side. Small marks now appear on the side of the bullets. These marks come from grooves inside the barrel which spin the bullet, and from imperfections in the barrel. The horizontal cuts on both bullets match perfectly, so they've made their first breakthrough. They have one of the murder weapons. Now they need to know whose it is. To find out, a forensic scientist will try to recover the serial number. First, she applies a solution of strong acid to the butt plate. It causes a chemical reaction that will swell the metal around the numbers. The first faint imprints appear. She needs to apply more acid, but she has to be extremely careful. Too much acid will destroy the faint traces. Several hours later, she's done it. The serial number is 5, 9, 4, and 5. By the next morning, they've traced the gun's owner.
Are you Gary Miller? Yeah.
But he claims the gun was stolen from his car. And he has an alibi for the night of the shootings.
I told you, but it was stolen.
His story checks out.
No.
Once again, they've hit a dead end.
It was stolen. I should have called.
Then, 1 week later, the investigation takes a dramatic turn. A police officer in a nearby town stops a vehicle for a routine traffic violation.
Excuse me, sir, license
As the
registration.
officer goes to question the driver, he gets an unexpected reaction.
Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. Right now.
When he searches the car, he gets a surprise: a sawed-off shotgun. The shotgun comes to Sergeant Vickers.
Fire in two.
Detective Doherty will now compare the test shell with the shotgun shell from the murders. If the shells match, it will prove that the shotgun is the second murder weapon.
Good a match. It's the most incredible rush because we have literally found a needle in a haystack. We've matched a gun to a homicide.
Found at the scene of the crime.
A district attorney now negotiates a deal with the suspect. The man may get a reduced sentence if he gives up his two accomplices.
Steve.
The man agrees, but what he says surprises everyone.
Steve Gilmore.
He claims he had only one accomplice, not two. Police run a check on the accomplice. He's a bank robber who escaped prison 9 months earlier.
She knows.
The way this man tells it, the murder grew out of an argument. He and his accomplice were planning to rob a bank with 2 other men. But the others wanted too big a share of the take.
No.
So the man grabbed a shotgun from one of the men, and he thought that was the end of it. But his accomplice wanted to kill the other two. He was afraid they'd squeal. The suspect went along reluctantly. The next night, they tracked the men down to the restaurant. He claims the accomplice grabbed the shotgun from him and did all of the shooting. 2 days later, police prepare to arrest the accomplice as he returns home with his morning coffee.
Police freeze! Get in here! Down! Drop it! Drop the bag! Spread them!
Inside the apartment, they find a handgun with his fingerprints. Ballistic tests identify it as the final murder weapon. So both men committed murder. They didn't even know their third victim. He just picked the wrong night to have dinner with the other two. The killers thought they'd gotten away with murder, but their guns had left a trail. It was a trail that would lead them both to life in prison. On the modern battlefield, smart weapons wield massive firepower. But the deadliest soldiers of all don't rely on the latest electronics or the greatest firepower. They fire one shot to get one kill.
When you stalk your enemy, you learn how to stalk the enemy just like you would a deer. You stalk the enemy until the situation is right when you know you can kill him with one shot.
But where can a soldier learn how to kill a man half a mile away with a single bullet?
One shot, one kill! One shot, one kill! One shot, one kill!
He can go to the U.S. Army Sniper School at Fort Benning, Georgia. These 25 soldiers have volunteered for the 5-week course. They're all smart, and they're all expert marksmen. Even so, the school is so tough, a third of them can expect to flunk out. Now, for the first time on television, Discover magazine will follow these soldiers as they try to qualify as snipers.
Place your stock. Made it with the barrel.
Each man now holds the gun that he must master. It's this special rifle that defines the sniper. Mounted to the barrel is a scope that can magnify a target 10 times larger than life. The dials let the sniper adjust his aim for distance to target and for wind. In the end, a sniper will know his rifle better than he's known any other tool in his life. Chuck Mawhinney served as a Marine Corps sniper in Vietnam. He was one of the deadliest. He killed more than 100 enemy soldiers, some of them a mile away.
It just becomes part of you. I mean, wherever you go, the rifle goes with you. The relationship you form with the rifle is almost personal.
The basic design of the sniper rifle has changed very little in 100 years. Yet it remains the most accurate combat gun in the Army. In the hands of a skilled sniper, it will place every shot within a bullseye only a few inches wide, half a mile away. The incredible accuracy begins with the barrel. It's a tube of steel 2 feet long and 3/4 of an inch thick. It's twice as heavy as a normal barrel. The extra weight reduces distortion during shooting. Even the gun's stock, the part that the sniper grips in his hands aids with accuracy. It's made of fiberglass, so the weather won't affect it. More importantly, the barrel doesn't actually touch the stock. That's because every time a gun fires, the whole barrel vibrates. Anything that interferes with the vibration reduces accuracy. We think of sniping as solitary, but the sniper school emphasizes teamwork. In fact, they teach snipers to work only in two-man teams. The sniper and his spotter.
Moving.
The spotter helps the sniper place his shot accurately.
It's boiling right now.
But there's another reason for two-man teams. Two men together, it turns out, are much more likely to kill than is one man alone, because they can share responsibility for the kill.
Keep moving! Keep moving!
This morning, the students are taking a special kind of memory test.
Keep going! Let's go! Let's go!
Snipers need to rely on their memories more than most soldiers because they also work as scouts. The instructors allow them only a few seconds to look at some everyday objects. A plastic canteen strap, a piece of metal, and 8 other objects.
30 seconds left. 30 seconds.
Then they try to run the men into the ground. When the students reach the classroom, they enter a classroom from hell. The instructors do all they can to distract the students. Then they give them just 2 minutes to write down an exact description of the 10 objects they saw a half an hour ago. As they gulp down water, the students aren't aware that 2 of them have already flunked the test. The class is down to 23. The soldiers now spend hours each day at the firing range, learning proper shooting technique. At these distances, the slightest jerk will throw off the shot. He puts his cheek against the same spot on the stock every time, so his eye stays at exactly the same distance from the scope. He must learn to squeeze the hair trigger with the identical part of his finger. At 500 yards, a stray heartbeat or breath will make the difference between a hit and a miss.
It takes a little while to learn how to control your excitement. You start working on the fine details of the breathing, to the point that you count your pulses when you're shooting, to where it comes natural to you when you take the shot. You're ready to fire. It's an automatic thing that comes through your system. Your brain says breathe, 1, 2, out, pulse, pull.
But it's not just the sniper's technique and rifle that contribute to his accuracy. It's his special ammunition as well. It's manufactured for accuracy, speed, and power. It will penetrate a bulletproof vest half a mile away. But to shoot accurately, the sniper must learn the way his bullet travels after it leaves the gun. U.S. Army marksmen demonstrate this problem with illuminated bullets. As soon as a bullet leaves a gun, gravity and air resistance start to pull it down. So bullets never travel in a straight line, but they always fly in an arc. Each shooter must learn to adjust his aim to compensate for the bullet's arc. But there's a way that snipers can refine accuracy even further. Here at Army Marksmanship Unit, these soldiers begin a special target practice. Instead of firing bullets, they're shooting beams of light. A laser under the muzzle shoots a beam at the target. A set of prisms on the target registers the beam and sends data back to a computer. The computer screen displays the exact location of each shot. It also traces the movement of the gun muzzle in the 3 seconds before he fired and in the second after. With this information, an experienced sniper can refine his movements and improve his accuracy. But the Army wants snipers to kill enemy soldiers, not to shoot bullseyes. So Sniper School trains them on human-shaped targets.
Don't mean to sound cold about it, but I never really looked at the enemy as a person. To me, it was the enemy, and every time I pulled that trigger, in my mind, I was saving American lives.
The pressure intensifies. In the 100-degree heat, the instructors make the men run a fast 3 miles. Meanwhile, they transform the firing range into a war zone. Each soldier must find his rifle and fire at targets he can barely see. Those are real bullets they're shooting. A few hours later, 3 more students get the bad news from an instructor. The class is down to 20. With just 3 days left, the soldiers face the toughest test of all. They're embarking on a simulated sniper mission that will last 48 hours. Behind the smiles, each man knows he's reached the moment of truth. He and his partner must prove they've mastered every skill the sniper needs. If they don't perform well now, their dreams of becoming snipers are over. The first men take up a defensive position, while the others race for the woods. Finally, they feel safe enough to open their sealed orders. By nightfall, they've got to reach their first destination miles away. The men need to move quickly, but with great caution, because they're not alone out here. Their instructors are trying to hunt them down. These students got caught. They'll have to work themselves out of the tape before they can get going. It will take them precious time. Several teams reach their first destination. Now they get their final orders.
General comes out approximately every 45 minutes to an hour to inspect his troops. Once he is out in the open,
There's an enemy general somewhere out there on the firing range.
back to a cover and concealed route to this.
They have to find him and kill him.
The general has a counter sniper team that travels with him.
They begin the stalk. Scanning the horizon, they finally spot him. He's a mannequin mounted on a cart. Sensors hidden under his uniform will record where the bullet hits. Now, all the pressure's on the sniper. The shot is his to hit or miss. The sensors record a fatal wound. Mission accomplished. One shot, one kill.
From the time you're a kid till you're growing up, you're taught not to kill people. And then all of a sudden you're saying, you need to kill this guy. It's a different ball game.
As far as thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not try to kill me either. And so that's what happens in a war.
Ladies and gentlemen, the top gun for Class 6-97, FC Derek Mitchell.
18 of the original 25 students managed to graduate, but they know that the ultimate test may lie ahead of them. Someday, they may have to actually kill another human being. And that would carry a burden that these young men don't yet fully comprehend.
I'll be asleep, and all of a sudden some of these faces will come. You'll see them again. You'll see the same situation that happened. It'll come back just like as vivid as it was when you were there. I don't think you'll ever forget it. I don't think you can forget it. I don't care how long you live. You do not want to ever sit and think about it. If you are compassionate or a good human being, I think it will always be there.
Sometimes, the scientist who works with fire gets burned by the flame. That's what happened to Gerald Bull. In March 1990, Bull was returning home to his apartment in Brussels, Belgium. Someone was waiting for him. Officially, the murder remains unsolved. But the suspects include the secret services of a half-dozen countries.
Iran,